This meeting is being recorded.
Home, peace, peace, peace.
All right,
Oh. Oh, I hear you now.
let's try it again.
Yes. All right, let's see. Put this out of the way. There we go. Good morning.
Yeah. Om, peace, peace.
Yes.
Lead us from death to immortality.
Yeah.
Lead us from the darkness to light.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that intro.
Yep, I like that. I like that,
So
guys.
how are things going over there? Same?
Okay. Yeah.
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 Things the same?
I guess so. Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay.
You could say, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. 1 minute. It's like I don't know for sure. It's like I feel like I have a center, so to speak, and then yet in the same way, I listen to some of the swamis and gurus or whatever that are on they've recorded their stuff, and that makes me just think that maybe it's just more Maya or the mind or whatever the proper term is just another. It's like, man, then they said that the mind was crafty. It's like that's incredible that it would produce such a grand illusions, basically, and then because I was listening to Emerson and he was saying, that's all a story, and it's like, well, you could call it a story, but they feel like real experiences to me. This wasn't a conversation we had. I'm just saying, picking up what he's saying and then applying it to myself is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And then somebody asked me, I don't even know why it was an after party, or not after party. What do they call this? Maybe they do call it after party. I don't know. It was after the Zoom thing, and and then somebody asked me something about, when did you start having glimpses or something, or something about glimpses, and I said, I don't know if they're glimpses. I said, but I said, but I've had experiences, that seem to have increased since, studying, or whatever you want to call it, since I started learning this, and then I was confronted in a way that made it seem like, I was almost lying, but I didn't. It's like, I don't feel like I'm lying, but then, and it's like, because I was told, well, there's really nothing. There really is. He goes, I'm not lying. There's nothing. And then, listening to the other teacher, or another teacher, I should say, or not teacher, but whatever, another human being.
Speaker, yeah.
Yeah.
No speaking.
Anyways, he said basically the same thing, that it's just a trick of the mind. And I thought, well, damn, what the hell is that about?
Yeah.
Is that the process of just like just the process of something that the mind goes through, because it's like so uh I don't know, strong or resilient, crafty. What I don't know. I don't know what would cause uh ego. I might be a good word for it. I don't know. But I've had some wow feeling moments, that if they're if they're just figments of an imaginary, because it was an experience making it imaginary. That's something to ponder. It really is. It's like, because it and then I hear another story from another speaker, and it almost validates all the things I'm fighting against, or not fighting against, but it's like, no, 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 that was a real trip, man. You're on the right path, keep going. And then so it's like, I don't it don't matter either way. It's like, it's just, I guess, for a lot
Like
of
someone
nothing
behind you at the door.
Huh?
Someone behind you at the door.
Uh-oh, who is that?
That took a
I don't
long
know.
time for
It's
you
the
to
spy.
notice.
I wasn't noticing nothing. I wasn't here.
Yeah.
What you doing?
I forgot what I was gonna ask you.
Because you're spying on me, trying to get the secrets of life.
Well, actually, this is what seemingly is going on. The mind is trying to interpret what reality shows us. Reality is on, it's always on, and it's going to appear however it will appear. And however it appears, our mind tries to interpret that.
Right.
But in its interpretation, it gets lost. It tries to personalize what it witnesses, what it sees. So if something happens in its purview or whatever it gazes upon, it tries to interpret what it sees and personalizes and takes it personal. It says whatever's happening is happening to me. So it applies it to itself. It will say, well, this is happening or that's happening to me, instead of just a happening. They are just simply happenings happening.
Right.
But the conjured self personalizes it. It says, well, that's happening to me, when it really isn't. But that's how it makes everything appear to be a dream.
See,
It interprets it all in its own fashion, to its own liking. So this is why there are nearly 8 billion or so different realities. Because each conjured self is conjuring up an interpretation of what they're witnessing. But what they're witnessing is simply whatever's appearing. But whatever appears is going to be interpreted in one of innumerable ways. And the way it's being interpreted is not really how it seems, yet a story is built upon what the conjured self is interpreting. So whatever the conjured self interprets, it turns into a story. And story is about me, my life, what I'm doing. Yeah, it applies it to itself. That's all it knows how to do. It doesn't know how to do anything else. But once you recognize that heist that's going on, and Paul Hederman calls it a heist.
I've heard it called, yeah. I've heard it.
That heist is a conjured self seizing what it witnesses, everything that appears. Everything that appears is just appearing as it will. But however it's appearing, the conjured self looks at it and then personalizes that, and then calls it calls life to itself. In other words, instead of just life happening through the appearances, it says it's happening to me.
Yeah.
So it personalizes everything, and then it turns into all the unnecessary suffering. That's why it's called suffering, is because the personalization of life is the suffering mechanism. That's what causes the suffering. That the conjured self's applying life and everything to itself. When nothing's happening to it, it just thinks it. It thinks life's happening to it. But it's not. It really isn't. It's not happening to it. It's just appearing, however it'll appear. And that's the conundrum. That's what happens. We take life personally.
Don't
We
think
don't
it's
have
so personal.
Yeah, you don't have to. But see, that's the choice. That's where it starts, right there. And that's where you'll get the glimpse. You'll get the glimpse if you drop trying to interpret life as it happens. Just allow it to happen. And step a couple of paces back, and you'll notice. You'll begin to notice, oh, life is just happening. It's not happening to me. It's just happening. It's not happening to, by, for, from, about, with, upon, around, before, and after itself. It's just all those pronouns you can use. But you drop them all, and what are you left with? Just life.
Who, what?
Just life happening. For no one.
I can't.
You'll hear that being spoken of by many speakers.
Richard,
Yeah.
I felt like, which I think it's interesting that how sometimes it feels like there's this, I don't know what else to call it, the spirit and energy, emotion, something, a movement.
Yeah.
That's aware. There's a certain awareness, like not my awareness, but an awareness that, like I was feeling like, man, all they talk about is emptiness, 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 emptiness. It's like, whatever happened to the fullness? They talk about empty fullness, but they always focus on the emptiness. Why is it always empty, 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 empty? It's like never talk about the fullness. It's like a taboo thing. You know what I mean? Really?
Yeah, I
And
know
I
what
was
you
like,
mean.
I was bothered by that. And then, as it would be, guess what? The conversation was about the fullness.
Because whatever appears is going to appear however it does.
Yeah.
But that appearance is empty because it's not real. So that's what they're simply trying to say. Whatever appears before you is not real. This is all a dream. And then you wonder, well, then why do I bother? Why am I here? Why am I anywhere? Well, you're not really here. You're everywhere. So that's another one. That's hard to grapple with.
Yeah, that I am Burman or Barman, Burma.
Yeah, I am
whatever. Dharma.
Yeah.
I was like, it sounds so much better
Brahman.
here. It's like Brahman. There it
Brahman,
is.
yeah.
It's like ramen, but Brahman. It's like, I am noodles.
Well, there it is. I mean,
there it is. I'm noodles.
yeah, you see that there it is where it's being interpreted already. We're trying to interpret what is seemingly happening around us, but nothing's really happening around us, and that's the emptiness. The fullness of it is a finiteness, a finite appearing, finitely appearing. In other words, the infinite is appearing finitely. And that finiteness that appears is a dream. It's not real. But if you recognize that, then you just go on about your day. It's not even your day anyway. We're just going about a day. Going about
I'm going
time
to indulge myself, if you forgive me for that.
That's all right. It's okay as time goes by.
I know there's some judgment with some pot smoking from some people, like, but whatever.
No, I see people vaping online.
Yeah,
vapors.
but I don't know. I'm
Vapors,
weird.
Vapors, smokers, drinkers, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I know. I
It's not
see
gonna
the
make
guy
any
having wine. And I was like, oh.
It's not gonna make any difference. It won't make any difference to anything, really.
Yeah, it seems to be that way once. Well, I don't know. I have this feeling of the idea of the person that even I'm told that even though that's, I hate to say it like this, but it's like a stage, but it's not really a stage. It's I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah, it's all a setup.
Yeah, and whatever,
The
but
scenery, the stage. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yes.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Emerson said, "We're all just, it's like, I can't remember exactly how I said it, but it's just everybody's having fun. We were having fun.
Play. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny is breakout rooms, as they call them. He's like, when he first said, he goes, I gotta go to the other room. I literally thought he meant like, like me telling you, I'll be right back. Going into my kitchen or something, and then he actually had other breakout rooms. It's just my perspective. That's what was funny about that to me. But he said the other room they're all crying. In the room we were in, everybody was laughing. I said, oh, that's it. Just a funny dichotomy, that one group's over there, oh, whatever. I don't know what the hell they're crying about. I wasn't part of it, but we were all laughing and having a good time. So I'm glad I was part of that group.
Yeah, well, you see, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
What apparently appears to happen is however the body mind feels at the time. Yeah. It might be going through a feeling. Now it takes all the feelings that it feels personally. It doesn't have to, but it does. It takes all the feelings that it goes through and then interprets life happening, and then an interpretation becomes personalized, and that's where it doesn't really go wrong, but it doesn't have to do that. Even though it's doing that, it's not really true. It's not that it's being untrue to itself. It's just it's not recognizing yet. It's not recognizing that that's life happening, but it's not happening to anybody. It's not happening to you or me or anybody else. But the moment that you interpret life happening to yourself, then you convince yourself of that. You're convinced. And then once you're convinced, it turns into a belief. And the belief turns into a way of life. And the way of life turns out to what we have here, where we say, well, I'm here. And this is my life. And here's my name. And then on like that.
Yeah.
So
I hated doing that today. I had to identify myself. I had to say, I am William.
Yeah, well, you have to introduce yourself somehow.
Yeah. What's your date of birth? It's like, I don't have one, bitch. I'm eternal. No, I'm just joking. No, I don't feel that way. But I did not feel that way, but I didn't like, it made me realize I had to, I had to go through that. Yeah, I guess that's how you say it. Yeah, I had to put that face on.
We have to do that. I do that at work, my job.
Yeah.
That's how it becomes easy to do. Because I just apply it to whatever is happening and whatever person I'm talking to, and I just put everything neatly into each call and
realize that that's not really what's happening.
I know. I recognize it's not happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's going on, I'm kind of witnessing that happening. I'm witnessing this body mind talking to that other person on the phone. And that's just what's happening at the time. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's just what's going on. And so that's how I get through the day. I get through the day that way. Although I'm going through each minute, each hour, I'm also recognizing that that's not mine. It's not my life, and I'm living there. So then there's a peace that surpasses all understanding. I know that's easy to say, but that's it's kind of like a place. It's like a state of a feeling of somehow of
Yes.
freedom. It's very, very liberating. This feeling of not identifying yourself, not identifying this body mind action figure as a self, not identifying with it anymore. How is that possible? How can that be? Well, it is. It's just that the conjured self has convinced itself to a point of where it can't believe that. It doesn't know how to believe that. It's so locked into itself, it doesn't know how to escape, doesn't know how to get out.
Possessions are funny, you know that? It's like
Yeah.
I was have faced that today with like, normally I don't give about I give a 2 cents about much of anything, but I was like, I felt like what I was like, oh, that's mine. I was like, oh, what's happening? What's going on right now? You know what I mean? Besides the dog
Yeah.
in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in back,
Right.
the other one. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I thought, you know, how that ties me, you know, all that identification is a leash, a chain, or whatever. Ego, you know, that's mine. It's really, you know, it's like, go ahead, take that with you tonight when you go to sleep or when you die.
In our speech, we're so
Huh?
filled with this conjuring of self-identification that that's all it turns out to be, and that becomes a habit and so easily
Mm,
done for so many years.
yeah.
The doing is so tightly wound with the self that it cannot entertain anything outside of itself. It doesn't know how to entertain anything else. So it continues on that way. Well, yeah, this is my life. I'm right here. Yeah, this is me, and this is my name, and this is what's going on. Nothing's really going on. It just apparently appears to be going on.
Yeah, occasionally stuff flares up, and that's about
Things
it.
that appear, things that are appearing are just that. They're just appearances, is all.
Just like your squeaky, our first connection, that was a interesting appearance.
Yeah.
It
We're just
put me in
sitting.
a good, a laughing mood. Like I said,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it when it's the positive, unexpected. It's like sometimes these unexpected things that are not in the best of, you know. But I guess that's the challenge, right? How do you handle that shit when it appears? You know, it's like, are you able to, you know, personalize it, or do you take it personal, or is it just like you said? Is it just something that's happening? You know, how are you going to deal with it? You
And
know,
it really is.
you know.
It really is just going on and happening around us now. Did we do that? No. Did we cause it to happen? No. We don't cause anything to happen, really. It just
No,
apparently appears to happen,
yeah, it does.
whatever that might be. Yeah.
I was thinking of, mm, I was told a story. A cousin was telling a story, or I guess it's a story. Her daughter got ran over. You know, it's a real. It happened. Something she experienced. Her daughter got ran over, and she said she ran into the hospital, and you know, carrying her daughter, and you know, and she said all the doctors came out, you know, swooped down, and you know, on the child immediately. And in those moments I thought, man, you know, there's, you know, when you step back and you can look at, you know, maybe stepping back, people might say that's not the real self or whatever, but when I step back and I see it from the outside, you know, I see it seems like a blessing in a lot of ways when these people show up. Like with my mother, I told him, I said, you guys are like angels. Do you realize that? I mean, these people that show up in some of these emergency situations, man, they really truly amazing sometimes, you know. And I mean, not that they're the only ones that can be an angel or a, you know, a blessing or positive energy, whatever the best description of that is, but it does seem like there's a definite power happening there sometimes. Her daughter lived, by the way, you know, and the car ran right over her. You know, it's like, how does that happen? She had the tire marks right over, you know, her body. And you know, some other people might have been murdered, you know. She wasn't. I don't know. But yeah. She said she was I don't remember. Anyways. Yeah. Her name's Grace.
Yeah.
Grace, that's the baby's name. She's not a baby no more. She's a 16-year-old smart girl. She's a very interesting human. She's so intuitive, and she's like asks questions, and it's like before you realize it, you're like telling her stuff. It's like, why am I explaining this to you? Just able to draw stuff out of you. That's weird. It's like I wouldn't normally like want to tell people that. What the heck just happened there? You know? It's an interesting.
Some characters have the ability to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, they draw you out somehow. Yeah. Good girl, though. Good girl. I mean, just as good as the rest of us, I guess. I mean, maybe not as bad as some. Richard, that brings me to the. I know it's controversial, so don't record this or edit it out if you have to.
No, it doesn't matter. All of it doesn't really matter.
No, it's juicy.
Okay.
Let's get it out there.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, whatever it is. All right.
Yeah, I know. Hell, it's on the internet. It ain't me that did it, but
It doesn't matter.
it isn't even me. None of it. It's just a passing thought. But anyways,
That's all right. Yeah.
this serial killer woman, I don't remember her name. Okay, it doesn't really matter to me, but you know how everybody talks about it, well, not everybody. In non-duality, there's some, I think most people feel like, you know, you don't really have a choice. There might seem like you have a choice, but you really don't have free will, right? There is no free will kind of thing. And then listening to this serial killer, I swear to God, she was saying that I had no choice. You know, it was like, and then she was like, you know, I mean, I had many different feelings, but it was very weird to hear her say that. It's like, you know, it's like, is she truly, is the truth she was just acting out her part in fucking life? You know, even though it was a shitty part, that's just her part. And then, you know, I don't know what they call the great wheel of, you know, in the Hindu thing, but is that just her wheel, her part of the wheel on the Dharma wheel, or
Well, wheel of Dharma, however life is going to appear, and that's how it does. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's her karma or what, but she was talking about, I thought I was kind of fucked up, to be honest, because I was like, you know, trying to look at it from a kind of more than one perspective, I guess you could say. And she was happy in a way. She was like, she felt like she was getting relief because she said, I don't want to go to my grave, or I don't want to die with a lie, you know, and smile. Oh, you know, I really didn't. He didn't try and rape me. I just murdered him. So I had already planned to steal his truck and you know, his money to steal his truck. His money was enough to pay for rent. It's not verbatim. Okay. So it's not like, don't try to like quote me if anybody was, well, that's not exactly what he did. Anyways, you know, and it's like all the other, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well, you're happy, but guess what? The people who,
Grandpa,
the person you murdered, what?
if I take the bus home tomorrow, will you take me to Haley's?
Maybe.
Okay.
What's going on? What happened? What do you ask?
He wants me to take him to, or if I'll drive him somewhere tomorrow. It's like,
Yeah.
I might not be alive tomorrow, but yeah, okay, if I'm here. If I'm here, sure thing, buddy.
Well, did you just notice that though? See,
Huh?
he's already planning tomorrow and it hasn't even happened.
I
Did you
know.
notice that?
I do.
Most of us are like that. Most of us are thinking about tomorrow and it's what's not happening. See?
He does
Or
that.
the past.
I noticed that. He's like, I said, go to your Aunt Dreams. Well, what if she's not there? I said, well, you'll find out when you get. But what if I said, Herman, just find out when you get there. Okay. And I was like, it's just like it gave me a vision of, you know, what I was like, does everybody do that? Is that how the world works? Are we all like, you know, I think I try not to do that because it seems like when I do that, a blackness appears. I actually lose something, you know. It's like I was like, first time I noticed it was like, holy shit. It's like it's almost like there's a visual disconnection, you know. It's like something's lost, you know, when I'm not like when I'm thinking about Tuesday, so to speak, or tomorrow. I'm actually, there's a blackness that happens, you know. There's not you know what I'm saying? I don't see it the same. There's a different seeing in my seeing.
And that seeing that you're looking at is the body mind doing that. That's that mind that's living in tomorrow or the past.
Right.
It's conjuring. It's conjuring it. That's what's going on. It's conjuring. So that blackness that you see, that you may notice,
yeah,
is part of that kind of that veil, so to speak.
With time.
Where we're always at. We're always in the blackness, the darkness, because nothing's really happening. But
yeah,
the next thing that appears, that's the body mind showing you that. And that's entertaining a thought. It's entertaining Tuesday. So it's putting Tuesday together, trying to think of various ways that a Tuesday can come about, that can happen. Things that haven't happened, they're not happening, but our mind entertains it anyway. So that's what's going on. When you notice that, when you notice those things that are happening, catch the thoughts, catch all those thoughts that body mind's picking up on and conjuring. You'll notice. You'll begin to notice it, and then once you notice it, then that's it.
it even gets craftier. I noticed.
Then you can recognize, like you can stand back behind it and watch it all go on. Meanwhile, you're back here at peace. You're resting in the peace that surpasses all understanding. You're resting in that. At the same time, life just continuing to go on before you. It's not your life. It's not what's happening to you. It's just life happening. And it may appear to happen to you, but it's not. But if it does, you could recognize that that's part of the story. If anything is part of the story of what the body mind is going through. And so
I wondered about that. It's like,
yeah,
you still have your part to play now and again.
and those parts that you're playing, it's just, you're just living whatever happens.
Yeah.
Living that life of whatever life has in store. You hear that a lot. Life has this or that in store for us. Well, in a sense, that's kind of true, because whatever appears in life is how it's going to appear before you. Now, what your reaction to that will create the story that unfolds.
Yes, I know.
The story that unfolds is based on how you interpret.
I've noticed
your
that
interpretation of it. Yeah.
I have noticed that, you know, sometimes life, you know, being the energy that it is, likes to give you a nice little, you know, how you gonna deal with that, so to speak. You know, that's what I was going through today, going, come on, you know, it's like I want to maintain a sense of, you know, calm and happiness, and apparently that's not meant to happen in my life. So, you know, I have to have this moment of
But you catch that though. Catch what we say in these phrases we use. That was not meant to happen. No, really, there is no meaning behind any of it. It's
Yeah.
not meant to happen, or it is. It isn't meant to happen. It either is or is not.
And it makes
There's
no
no meaning,
difference
there's
after
no
it's
meaning
done
behind.
anyway.
There's
What
no
the
meaning
fuck's it gonna
behind
do?
our life because there isn't a life that we're living. So you see that's the thing. That
Make no difference here.
if you catch it, if you catch when you say, "Well, I wasn't meant for that to happen," or "That wasn't meant to happen," well, there is no meaning really. There is no meaning to anything that's happening because nothing's really happening. It's just being conjured. It's being conjured up and presented to you, and when it's presented to you, then you interpret that, and that interpretation, however you interpret life, is the one you're going to take. And if you take that, then that's formulating what you determine to be a decision. So this is how free will appears to us. Free will apparently appears as though we made the choice, but we didn't, because that's a presupposition. Remember, the will presupposes a presupposition of the layout of life appearing, however it does, and then we're taking that aboard
Sorry.
and we're personalizing it. Yeah.
I guess I was tripping. Did you want out? Go on.
So that apparently appears to be what is going on. If we think something's meant to happen for us or not meant to happen, it is neither. It's neither meant or not meant. There's no meaning. But the moment we place a meaning upon something going on, something happening, that's how it turns into a personalized experience. That's how it's turned into that happened to me, or that was meant to happen to me or for me or by me. See, there's the me again. The me always gets involved. And you'll hear some non-duality speakers speak of the me. When they say me, mine, I, anything that's personalized.
Every time they say Maya, I think Maya, the Maya, for some
That's
reason.
true. And Maya is whatever apparently appears. It's not really happening. It just appears to be happening. It's just apparent. So what
Isn't it
apparently
funny?
appears, yeah,
It's like a dream, actually. You know, the past
it
is,
is.
it's a dream. It's no more real. The past is no more real than a dream. It's weird, really. I mean,
Right. You look at the past, and the past can only conjure up you as a body.
yeah, it's no different than the dream I had. Honestly, I mean, other than, you know, if I cut myself 5 days ago, I might have a scar today, you know, or something like that. Or if I was cut, or if the body was cut. I don't know sometimes. I don't know anytime.
That's all right. It's okay when you say you're not to know because you don't. If you think you know, you really don't. When you say, well, I know this and I know that, well, I don't know it. You neither know it or not know it.
Well, when I'm dead, I guess that.
When the body mind dies, that still, that self-identification, that whatever is witnessing life happening, it still goes on. That energy goes on.
Yeah.
And that energy that I'm referring to is that me, is that I, that self-identification. That self-identification with a body mind that is believed. If it's believed to be you or the me that you call yourself,
Yeah, I know.
then that's where you're going to continue
And that's what it is.
to develop. And that's what's happening there. That's what's happening there. It's not happening here because I'm not self-identifying with this body mind anymore. I used to think in the same way in terms of my life, my things, my house, my place, belongings.
My problems.
No, none of them. None of them apply anymore. None of them are applicable. They really don't.
I try to
And
think of like. I'm
once
sorry. Go
that's
ahead.
recognized, then there's the liberation.
It's like, what's mine I can take with me when I'm dead, right?
No,
Huh?
there isn't anything that's yours because you don't have a life that you're living. Now, see, when you say that, you say, well, I know I have a life I'm living. How can you say that? See, that's the part that the self-conjured believes. The self-conjured self believes that it has a life it's living, so it's going to continue that way.
Mm.
But that way it's continuing, it's just an appearance. It's just an apparent appearance. It believes in that. That's not really happening, but it believes in it anyway.
The dream goes on.
And yet
Right?
the dream goes on, right? Yeah.
You think for the dream to go on, it must be pretty comfortable. Actually, I heard it was. It's perfect. It's a perfect illusion. It's like that makes sense then. See, when people talk like that this is a perfect illusion, it sounds like, how quantum science and
Quantum mechanics, yeah.
yes, quantum mechanics and how these mathematicians are trying to actually use mathematics to figure out if this is a simulation. I find that interesting because to me, whatever.
Yeah. See, you're catching yourself. See, you're
Yeah.
noticing it now. You're just going to continue to notice that. And the more you notice that, then you're going to be able to recognize, look, I'm catching my speech now. I'm catching what I'm stating. And then you're going to change that with the way you speak. And when you change the way you speak, then you're going to be recognizing, okay, I'm not speaking about myself anymore. Because that's just a character. That's just that body mind. And the more you do that, the more you'll recognize it. And then you could rest. You could finally be at peace. But if you still have more unraveling to do, then you may need to continue to unravel some more. When I mean unwind and unraveling all the things that you thought you knew, all this knowledge base, this knowing, all these things that you thought you knew. You thought you knew that because you believed that. You believed everything that you thought. Everything that you thought, you put it to a database of your own. That database that you had, that knowledge base of knowing. If you drop all the knowing, what's left? Well, it's the apparent appearance of a body mind that knows. Yeah.
I actually, that was the thought that passed was what would be known if nobody ever told me anything? What would I know? What would be known?
Right. Yeah.
Fire's hot. This is cold. This is wet. Needs to eat.
But what was wet? Did it ever cause you to feel wet? The word wet, did it ever make you wet? Or the word fire, did it?
If I was a woman, I might be offended.
Or the word fire, did it ever burn you?
Hey, speaking
You see,
of fire.
things like that.
Yeah. Well,
see, it's just concept. It's
I
all
wouldn't
concept.
know now I already know that it does. So how would I know if I didn't know?
There you
Apparently,
go.
children get burnt, but maybe that's because we perceive them as being hurt. Who knows? Firewalkers, they don't think they get burnt. It's like, and apparently they don't, but whatever.
Yeah, like a person walking on coals.
Right. Yeah.
They disassociate themselves from
And
their
then
body.
and then science can't accept it, so they come up with all the theories that, that's fine, whatever. I mean, maybe there is a barrier, you know. Okay.
It's a apparent barrier.
Yeah.
It's an apparent appearance of a barrier. These partitions that
All
we see
that
before us,
attention.
those are
What?
all conjured. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't even here.
Apparently appears to be boundaries and partitions before us, but they're not
Yeah.
really before us. We're looking at them and we're interpreting them that way, but that's not what's really there.
Yeah, in the
That's a
dream
funny
world they're
thing.
not.
That's a funny thing. You see things that you're looking at. Are they really there? They're not really there. They're apparently appearing,
Yeah, all right.
but they're not real. That's what's so strange, so unusual
Because we've been
about what
lied to.
apparently appears. Yeah.
That's what I think that's funny. Like I said, that somebody's just talking about, uh, something similar, and then it says, I just and then I read that scientists say that the brain there's a 15-second delay on the brain. I was like, are you kidding me? That just ties right into what
That delay is what you are right
that
there.
that what we were studying or what was being discussed.
You that you think you are, that's your true self. When we say true self, it's not really a self that could be solidified, or it's not physical. It's that energy.
Yeah.
It's an energetic movement. That energetic movement that we truly are.
You know,
We're that delay. Yeah.
yeah, it don't matter. I was just gonna speak. Uh, Emerson called it dreamlish.
Yeah.
Dreamlish. So, yeah, dreamlish. That just kind of takes all the thunder out of the story.
Well, the speech, as
Huh?
I'm speaking to you, speaking the English language, that's already a dualism. It's already a duality. We're already entering into duality as we speak. But if we don't speak, that is where we truly are with the non-speech. In other words, not saying anything. Interpreting a thought and interpretation, the interpreter, that interpreter
An object,
is
huh?
what we really are,
Oh,
but we're not a solidified interpreter. We're just using the body mind to interpret what's appearing.
I
So
don't
we're gonna,
remember what
yeah.
the hell the subject was, so it's really going to be a terrible way to explain this to you. But they were discussing. It was a scientific discussion, and it just all of a sudden came to me that they were looking in the wrong place. That's all I can say. It just all of a sudden it's like they're all looking at the wrong spot. They're not they've got because I could
There is
see
no spot.
for
There
the
is no spot.
subject
Yeah.
for the subject they were talking about, I was like,
Yeah.
it's they weren't looking in the right it wasn't the right thing, man. It just was
It's kind of a field, is what it is. It's an
hmm?
energetic field. It's like a field that appears. Now everything that's appearing is like appearing in a field of
But
visual perception.
that's when I was like, I felt like I had some sort of experience because I was like, all of a sudden everything made sense for just a second, and I actually heard I said earlier is that I heard myself say, "Fuck," you know. It was like an aha moment, but you know, it
Yeah.
really, you know, it. And then I tried to explain it, you know, and it just doesn't really make much sense either, because I don't know. It's like I don't know, man.
See, you're trying to speak of it, but it's the mere speech of it that causes it to become distorted. Remember the double slit experiment, the observer. The observer distorts reality as it appears. Get rid of that observer. What are you left with?
Hey, just like they always say, as soon as I show up at the party, it's fucking ruined.
It sucks. That's right. As soon as you show up, that's right. So
I keep ruining all these wonderful moments. What's going on here? What was that?
Yeah, and it says that's what he means. That's what Paul Hederman means when he says that.
That's funny. That's an interesting way of seeing it.
That's right. It's a way of looking at things. It's a way of how they appear. There's more than one way of looking at something that's appearing.
And Richard, I know you might not agree with the statement, but whatever. I also had an interesting experience to where I recognized, well, anyway, there seemed to be a recognition that the same person that is here, you know, it sounds silly when I say it, but the same person that's here is the same person that's dreaming, you know, not the same, but there's the same person, whatever. It's funny to say. There's a, I guess, person.
A dreamer?
You know, the dreamer. Yeah, and it's the same. I recognize the same person here as I do in the dream. And I know that might sound silly to some. And then, you know, it's like, it just, I was like, wow, I know that's not like a big deal, but you know, it was an interesting moment for me to go, wow, that's, you know, no change there. There's no change.
Well, you're conjuring that.
Yeah, I understand that.
You're conjuring the thought, and you're interpreting that thought to be a certain way. Yeah, you're conjuring and thinking about that thought to be a particular way, and it's going to appear that particular way that you're interpreting it.
Yeah.
So however you're interpreting that thought, that's how it's going to appear to you. But if you get behind that thought, you realize, they recognize, oh, that's just a thought being entertained that way.
You know, that's funny that you say that, because I was doing that. It's like, well, if I could see this thought, then it's not the real me. So I kept doing that. And it was like, I kept going.
Yeah, you kept going
trying
back
to get behind I was trying to get behind the thought, you know?
Right, or behind the person that's thinking that thought.
But it just kept going. It was funny.
Or behind what is entertaining that thought?
I don't
That's
know.
what you catch. If you catch what's entertaining the thought and you recognize that's not you, then there it is. You just caught it.
Yeah.
You just caught it, and then you recognize, oh, okay, that's what that was. That was just a body mind entertaining the thought. It's not mine.
Yeah.
It was just an interpretation of it. So then it begins to be the clarity. It begins to make sense.
Poor brain.
Oh, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. That dreamer is not really me. I'm not really the dreamer. We're the dreamings.
What?
That's what we really are. We're the ing, with the activity. The dreamings. So whatever.
I'm the activity of a dream.
Whatever conjured up in the dreamings, that's what we are. It's true.
An activity of a dream. An activity of a dream.
There is no dreamer. There is no dreamer.
Did you say it?
There's not even
activity? I wanted to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah.
Or that it was heard right. That's what.
Right. There's neither a dreamer. There's neither a dreamer or what is dreamt. What is dreamt was thought to be something that happened. Something that happened was not really a true happening. It was just a conjured happening. It was a conjured interpretation of what apparently appeared to have happened.
A dream. I'm still. You're just talking, and I'm still left back there. So I hope you know all I hear is. I'm still trying to wrap my head around being the dreaming.
Yeah, with the dreamings, with the activity,
Yes, the dreamings.
with the activity that appears as the dreamings that are going on, and they don't stop. They go on over and over again, and on and on.
Hmm.
But they're not dreamt, because to say that something was dreamt, that means that that's a finality, that's an end. It was an end to that dream. It had a beginning and an ending. No, it is neither. Therefore, that's why it's not really something that's dreamt.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. It's all good.
So
Just
there's the dreamer. There's a dreamer that's dreaming something that it thinks is it already dreamt it.
Where's the streamer?
Yeah, but there is no real dreamer. So if there is no dreamer, what are you left with? Well,
You just told me there was a dreamer.
There's nothing really appearing there. So whatever appears is thought to be dreamt. It's just believed. It's just thought about. It's thought to be believed. A dream that's dreamt is thought to be dreamt. It's thought about, and the thinking about it is taking consciousness and conjuring a dream. And as it conjures a dream, it dreamt it. But if you drop all of that, drop the dreamt, drop the dreamer, what are you left with? Nothing. So there really isn't anything going on. It's just an interpretation of the body mind. The body mind calls itself a dreamer. Yeah, it calls itself a dreamer, an observer, experiencer. It's having experiences.
I'm starting to feel lonely. Don't do that.
But the body mind will do that. The body mind will say, well, I experienced that. I had that experience. No, you didn't have it.
Yes.
There isn't anything to have. There's nothing to gain or lose. But
what the hell? I just find it so bizarre
yeah,
that those things happen though. You know, it's like
it is a bizarro world.
yeah, it seemed like when I asked Emerson about, meditation, he was very adamant that it's all bullshit. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I don't he sees it from some place I don't, as from, not that I care. I mean, not, I don't mean to say it like I don't
Well,
care. But
you might think that
I-
there's a meditator to meditate
Huh?
something.
What?
That's why you're identifying with a meditator.
Hmm.
There's a meditator to do meditations.
Oh, that's right. It's because the
Conjure
mind's all
meditation.
bullshit. I get
See,
it
yeah,
again. Okay.
See, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
referring to there is no real meditator
Yeah.
who's
So it's all
meditating.
bullshit. Yeah.
There is no meditator meditating meditations.
Right.
There could be meditatings. Oh yeah, there's always meditatings, but there is no final meditator. There's no final meditation. So that's what he's trying to tell you. That's how that's bullshit. Because that's not really true. It's not really
This is
real.
all conjured, huh?
It's a conjured, right? It's a conjured meditation, and there's a conjured meditator.
Right.
So the self-conjured conjures, so it conjures a meditator. Now that it has a meditator, now it can apply a meditation to that meditator. So then the meditator looks at a whole array, a whole list of meditations to follow. And if it's going to follow this meditation or that meditation, and it'll try that on. It'll try various meditations. It'll try that. But that's what you got to recognize.
Oh, that was the question I asked him. I was trying to ask about people being hooked on the experience. They get hooked on experience seeking. I heard.
And notice that the experience is not real.
I know that.
Because there's no experiencer. Experiencer, that's the conjured self, conjuring an experience. And then when the experience was conjured, that's all that was. That was just a conjured experience. But it really wasn't happening. Nothing really happened there. But that's what apparently appeared to happen. Apparently appeared to be an experience. Well, there's experiencings. Yeah, we are the experiencing. But that doesn't stop. That always constantly goes on and on. Always in all ways. The experiencing. There isn't no experiencer. There are no experiencings. There is the experiencing, but not the experiencings in a final experience. There aren't separate experiences, in other words. There is an experience there, or there is an experience over there that's happening to anybody. There's nothing going on over there. But if it's conjured, then that conjured experience is personalized, it's interpreted, and then it goes on that way. It goes on thinking in terms of, well, I had an experience. See, when you say I had an experience or I have an experience, then it starts personalizing it again. It starts applying a me to that experience. And when it applies a me to the experience, that's what's going on there. That's what's apparently appearing to happen there. And so it conjures up that story.
Okay. It's funny.
Everything that happens, that goes on, is just an apparent appearance. We're going to continue to witness what's really not happening. Everything that we witness in this dream, in life that goes on, that's just an apparent appearance. That's just not what's happening. Even though we think something's happening, it really isn't. So if we look around us and if we think something's going on, something's happening, nothing, absolutely nothing happening is happening. So that's the emptiness that they speak of. The emptiness they speak of is looking around and everything is empty. It appears as full though. See, everything's apparently appearing full with fullness, but that's just a temporary appearance. It's a temporary appearance of finiteness. That's why finiteness has a beginning and an ending, because it's finitely appearing. Infinity is not that way. Infinity has no beginning and no end. It goes on and on. So infinity has to appear finitely before and in front of that which is experiencing. So the experiencings that it's representing is part of everything anyway. It's part of absolutely everything. So whatever it's experiencing, that's what it's going to experience. But it's not a separate experience. And it's not an unreal one. It's both real and unreal. It's both at the same time. That's the tough one to swallow. That's the tough pill to swallow. To say that everything is both real and unreal. It's both observable and unobservable. It's knowable and unknowable. It's both. So that means everything's possible. Everything and anything, absolutely everything and anything is possible. So anything that's conjured up and thought about, that's all that it is. Just a conjuring. It's just a conjuring. It's just thought about. We're just going to speak of it. We're speaking of concepts here. That's what they are. They're concepts. The concepts we're referring to. We're going to make reference. Yeah. If we make reference to something, that's just conjuring the appearance of a reference of a concept. So just entertain a thought. It could be any thought, but that's what we're doing. We're taking thoughts, entertaining them, applying concepts to them. And that's what apparently appears. Apparently appears to be thoughts going by. Thoughts going by, you entertain them, but you don't have to hold on to them. You don't have to apply them to anybody or to anything, because there isn't anybody to apply them to. If there isn't nobody to apply them to anything, then there's no need. It's unnecessary. There are no necessities. Are there necessities in life? No, not really. There are no necessities. Everything appears to happen as it does, as it apparently appears to go on, and it does. But nothing's personalized. Nothing's to anybody or for anybody. It's not to anybody. So in a sense, everything's happening for everybody. Nobody's left out.
Yep.
That's another way of putting it. We can simply say that everybody's included. Everybody's included in absolutely everything.
Yep, everything.
And no thing. Everything and no thing at the same time. So we could take a thought, we could take an idea, we could entertain it. And we take a thought, idea, entertain that, and then let it go. And then the next one comes along. We could do that to thoughts. You can entertain thoughts for a while. And the thought can become a story. That's the beginning, once upon a time. And then they live happily ever after. Whatever happens in between. Could be many things.
Yeah.
We want to be innumerable things. Yeah. We take that phrase, that title, that book back there. Do you see what I see? Okay. Now, just if we could just dissect that sentence. Do you see? Well, I don't really see. The body mind sees. Okay, what does the body mind see? The body mind sees life going on, life happening. Okay. Yeah. Is it happening to you? Well, it thinks it does. It believes that life's happening to it. So if that's the case, anything that happens in life, it's going to apply it to itself. And the moment it does that, it creates its own story. And then that's how it creates that separate sense of a self. That sense of a separate self. That's how it creates it. By believing that. By believing there's something to do. That there's going to be something that I can do. doings, because it becomes the
Hey,
doer of things. Yeah.
that just reminded me of you know of the a story today about the like it was pointing out the difference and just something just like that you were saying is uh,
Yeah. The doer of doings. Is there
they
anything to
use the
do?
example of a crane
Yeah.
and that even a crane is a something like that. I don't remember, but it was like wow, made sense for a second.
But that's what I'm referring to. So are we the doer of anything? Not necessarily. Is there anything to do? Not really. There is no doing going on. Well, why isn't there any doing going on? Why is there? Why is that? Why is that that there's no doing going on? Because there's no separate doer anywhere. Well, how come I feel like a doer? Well, if you feel like a doer, you're conjuring it. You're conjuring that feeling and that belief. You convinced yourself of that. So you self conjured the belief in yourself. So if you believe in yourself, that's what you believe in. You believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, that's what you believe in. And that's a life that you're going to be living. You're going to be living your own life that you believe you're living, you think you're living it. But that's all that is. It's just a thought. It's a feeling. It's a perception. It's a concept. That's all it really is. It's a concept. It's not really happening, but you just believe it is happening. So an event, an occurrence, a happening, something to do, anything is thought about. And anything that's thought about can be believed. And if it's possible to believe it, then it could be applied to a separate self, a separate sense of self. So a separate sense of self is going to apply a life that believes it's living 2 by 4 from about with upon around before and after itself. It's going to believe that. And once it believes that, then it's convinced that it's living that life. It's not really living any kind of life, but it believes it. It believes it does. It believes it is. It believes it's the doer and the knower. The doer and the knowing, the doer and the knower of things. Some things. And so it begins to separate those things and separates them into different categories. And say, well, this here's a list of things that I could be doing. Here's a list of things to do. So then it goes off like that. So then when we ask, do you see what I see? Okay, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, all that we're seeing is what's apparent appearing to happen. Okay, if you see that, then that means I can see that too. Well, if that's the case, what are we actually seeing? Well, we're seeing an idea or a thought that's being conjured. Okay, let's say that I'm seeing you and you're seeing me. Now, what is the you and the me? That's the body mind. You see the body mind appearing before the screen. That body mind that you see before the screen is just that. It's just that body mind. But is that you? You see? So can you gaze upon that image in a mirror and say that that's you? You see? See how that funny feeling, how that feels so weird? It feels so strange. It feels so unusual. We're looking at a mirror, we see the image there, and we think that's us. That's me, that's I. I feel that I'm looking at my image and that's mine. That's my image because I see it. If I see that image, I know it. See? And if I know it, then that means it's true. It's real. But you see, it's only real to you or to me. So if it becomes real to you, then it becomes personalized. And then once that's personalized, then that separate sense of self, that center is created and it's maintained and it's believed to exist. It believes it's real. So it continues on that way. But that's all that's going on there. That's all that's happening. And that's appearing to happen to each and every appearance. That's all it is. It's just an appearance of your image. And you say of your image. What is your image? Well, whatever is casting an appearance in a mirror. Okay, that's that body mind casting that appearance in the mirror. The body mind's doing that. Casting an appearance. How does it cast it? How does it do that? How does it create that image? Is it creating it in some way? Is it putting it together somehow? But you see, it's in the thinking. That's all it is. It's a little switcheroo. It's in the way of thinking. Switch that around. That thinker that's believed to be thinking a thought is a presupposition, and you're not that. So that thinker that's thinking of a thought, if you're not that, then that means whatever is thought is not real. Whatever is thought is just conjured. It's a conjuring. It's just made up. It's fictitious. It's a story. That's what's apparently appearing. Has it always been that way? Yeah. It's always been that way. And it always will be that way. That's profound. If you think about it, because it's always been like this. This is how it's always been. It's never been any different, anything other than what apparently appears. It's always been this way. It'll never change. It's incredible. It's really amazing how that is and is not. See, everything is and is not. Everything's an appearance. It's appearing and it's not appearing. Appearing visible and it's invisible. Both real and unreal. Observable and unobservable. Knowable and unknowable. Both at the same time. How can that be? How can anything be knowable and unknowable at the same time? Well, because there is no time either. See, there's another one. Time is just a concept. If time's a concept and we're applying what's knowable and unknowable to time, that's what's happening there. It's an application of time. An application of time is a knowing, and another application of time is an unknowing. So you can have a list of unknowings there, you can have a list of knowings over here. And that's speaking of in terms of concept. Anything that's spoken of is already turning into a duality, and that dualism turns out to be concept. And these concepts that are thought about are just thought about. That's all they are. But the question is, are those thoughts believed? Is it believable or is it unbelievable? Well, it's both. It's believable and both, believable and unbelievable. Because it's a concept. It's a thought. That's all it is. But once that thought's entertained and it's thought to be personal and it's thought to be real, then it becomes real to the observer. And that observer is observing what's apparently appearing to be happening, that's all it's doing. It's just observing what's apparently appearing to happen. And that's paradoxical. That is a paradox right there. There's a paradox in how it appears both real and unreal. There's a paradox in how it seems to be observable and unobservable. The paradox of how it's knowable and unknowable, both at the same time. And we say at the same time, so that's within time.
Mm.
Time is what allows what apparently appears as Maya. Maya uses time to create the appearances of appearances. Isn't that something? Maya uses time to create the appearances of appearances. Whoa. That's quite a, you don't really hear people speaking that way normally. This type of speech right here is not a very common thing. It's a very rare message. This is a very rare message, and you very rarely hear anybody speaking that way. And the moment anybody speaks that way, then it begins to notice how, okay, it's canceling out. It's taking what apparently appears to be real and calling that unreal. Okay, if it's unreal, then where's the realness of what apparently appears to be real? The realness is thought about. It's considered. It's thought about or considered. If it's considered or thought about, then it's conjured. Well, how is it conjured? It's conjured by the conjurings of a self-conjured self. Now, why would anything do that? Why would a self-conjured self conjure a thought or idea? Well, it's simply conjuring it because it doesn't know what else to do. It only knows of doings and knowings. That's all that a conjured self knows about. It only knows about doings and knowings. If I could do something about anything, then that could be done. Well, what could be done? Something that's knowable. If I know about it, then I could do something about what I know. And I can know about what I'm doing. See, knowing and doing, they're very closely related. And that's what keeps the conjured self busy, keeps it busily engaged in life. Life's apparently appear to happen. Yeah, it's going on and on, continuing. But the self-conjured self believes in beginnings and endings. It believes in that. It believes in its own story, that it had a beginning, it was born, and it had a birth certificate, it had a place in the hospital or a place that it was born, and then it's living its own life, and then it will eventually end, and there'll be a death certificate, and that's it. But that kind of story, that kind of finality, is not real. It's a prefabrication. It's a fabricated story. It's a fictitious story. And that's all that life becomes. How is life becoming that? Well, it's not really becoming anything. Life's not becoming anything. But the moment that a self entertains an idea, that it's an individual, it's a separate sense of self, then it begins to validate that story. It validates it. It validates it by saying it so. I say it so because I see it. I see it with my own eyes. See? It's saying that it sees it with its own eyes. The body mind sees with its own eyes. And when it sees, it believes. And then when it believes, it knows. And then it goes on and on like that. Constantly going in a circle that way. And in a sense, that's a circle of a life of a self-conjured self. It's a circle of that life. that particular individual that believes it is an individual, that believes it's separate from everything else. It believes it's a separate individual that's living its own life. It believes that. It's not real, not really true, but it believes it anyway. Drop the beliefs, drop the knowings. What are you left with? Everything and nothing. You're not left with anything to use. There is really nothing to use. There is no thing that anybody can use. Well, what's usable? Well, whatever's conjured. Whatever's conjured is usable in a sense. In a sense, it's thought about. So if it's thought about, it's usable. And if I can use that, what am I referring to when I'm talking about using something? Well, I could use a thought, or you could use an idea that applies to myself, that applies to me. See, it applies to the me, the individual, and the individual knows it. It knows what it can do about it, and that's the life of the subconscious self. Knowings and doings. Yeah, it believes in what it knows, and it believes what it can do, and therefore it will continue to ask that question: do you see what I see? These eyes of this body mind that I see, the things that I see in my life, see? What did you do today? Did you do anything today? See? Oh, well, I did this and that. I went somewhere. I went from here to there.
Okay. Yeah. Here, my ear.
Yeah. See, so the self is just left on the floor like it's just a pool of water. Doesn't know what else to do. When a subconscious self is faced with this message here, it really doesn't know what else to do or say. It doesn't know what else to do or say. It doesn't really know what to say. So if it doesn't know what to say, then that means, what does that mean? Well, is there any meaning to anything, really? There really isn't any meaning to anything. So see, you got to get behind all that. What does anything really mean anything? No, nothing really has any meaning. Nothing has to have a meaning. To simply be and exist as it appears to exist, however it will appear. However anything appears, it's an apparent appearance.
It's not like you have any choice in it anyway.
Right. Is it appearing for anybody? Is it appearing for anybody? I ask you, really. It's not. Not appearing for anybody. Does it mean anything? Does it have any meaning for anybody? No, it doesn't. Because nothing's really happening. But at the same time, it seems like it is. It seems like something's going on. It seems like things are happening. See, so if I go out in the street and I see cars go by, that's traffic. That seems to be the case. If I turn on my television, I see people. I know there's a life out there. There's a life that exists. There's thousands, billions. There's billions of other lives that are going on.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing. What's incredible is how can nearly 8 billion lives be going on all at the same time?
Not crazy. I guess if he was in, well, for me, I live in a small place, but big cities, man. I remember going there. First time, like I went to San Francisco. Fucking those buildings. I don't know. I didn't like feeling like I was. I didn't like it. I didn't like the city. Then people were hollering at each other. It's just a strange fucking place. I mean, so anyways, all those souls, people together like that. It's just, I don't know.
They're just carrying on, believing that they exist as individuals. That's why each of those people, each of those individuals that apparently appears to be individuals, they believe that they are a separate self, that they are a very unique individual. Each and one of those nearly 8 billion of those people believe they're a unique individual. Now, amidst that population, in the population of the societal structure,
Yes.
there's very few of us non-dual thinkers. And just a small percentage of us.
I have to get a pillow. Hang on. Ow.
Yeah.
When I just remembered, I think when was it Tony that told somebody, I wish you death soon or something like that?
Richard Sylvester. That's a book that he wrote.
Oh, okay.
Richard Sylvester wrote a book with that title. I hope you die soon.
Yeah, okay, I will be nice.
Yeah, that was a book that he wrote, and he entitled it that. Now what he meant was he hopes that Conjured Self dies.
I know.
That's what he's referring to. Yeah, he's referring to that Conjured Self that you make up. But
exactly.
people think, oh wow, listen to what he's saying. It sounds terrible.
I think it's funny.
No, not you. Just that you that you conjured, that you that you thought about, that you that you think you are.
You're gonna go for a ride and you're not even gonna move, so hold on. All right, that's a little better for me. All right. Otherwise, I got my back to you, or whatever. Oh, just my neck starts to hurt.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, it's not really the body's tore up, man.
That's all right.
It's good. It's all good.
Yeah. We all somehow cope. We cope with life. Coping. What are coping mechanisms? We hear that word, we've heard that phrase before. Coping mechanisms are putting up with whatever life apparently appears to have in store for us. Whatever life apparently appears to have in store for us, can we come up with coping mechanisms to cope with them? What is coping? Is coping putting up with? That's what it sounds like. Sounds like I'm putting up with it. What are you putting up with? Am I putting up with anything? Not really. Not really.
Sounds like
think
resistance.
I am. If I think that I'm coping with something,
Sounds like resistance.
Just get behind all of that.
If you're coping, it sounds like resistance, right?
Yeah. What is the path of least resistance? What is that path? Is there a path of least resistance? Well, there isn't anything to resist. Is there a path of more resistance or least resistance to anything? Not really. There are no paths that lead anywhere. The pathless path, gateless gate.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing for a little bit of the pathless path.
Then it appears that what we could conjure could be anything.
Yeah.
We can all conjure any kind of thought or idea and entertain it.
Should have had great, well, dreams, man. Just dreams are quite the conjuring themselves.
Yeah. The dreams are left to their own devices, in other words. When the body mind goes to sleep, it cannot shut its own mind down. Its own mind will continue to conjure and entertain more ideas because that's all it does. It's just a habitual offender. That's all it knows what to do. That's all it does every day. So it goes on with that kind of activity every day, even when we're asleep. So when we go to sleep, it's free to roam. And if the mind's free to roam when we're sleeping, it conjures up some of the strangest appearances of imagery, of images. It's trying to interpret wherever it goes. Does the mind go anywhere when we're sleeping? We really wonder about that.
Mind
We
or
can.
self.
We can wonder about that because it could go anywhere and everywhere.
You
If
could
the
do
mind
that
can
with
go
just,
anywhere and everywhere,
yeah, just closing your eyes.
and it
Shit,
wanders,
you go
it's
back in
it.
time. Just think about yesterday. There you go. You're fucking time traveler.
Yeah, you're off and you're going through time. In a sense, you are. In a sense, yeah. But are you really doing that? See, that's another thing.
Well,
Are we doing anything about that? Not really. We're not doing it. It's just happening automatically by itself. The mind works on its own. If the
yeah,
mind can do that, that means I'm not that. If the mind is capable of doing that, that means I'm not that.
yeah,
I'm not that mind that's doing that. You know, and if I'm not that mind that's doing that, then I could rest. Then I could be at peace. I can experience that peace that surpasses all understanding. Now, am I experiencing that as my true self? Well, in a sense, you're kind of the observer. You're the witnesser. You're witnessing. You are the witnessings. You're the constant witnessing. That's what we are. We're constant witnessings. That's what we truly are. But we're constantly witnessing absolutely everything and anything that can happen, which are endless possibilities. So there really is no finality to anything. There really isn't. There is no
possibilities
finality.
are endless, but it's like everything stays the same though.
Let's say the only sense of the world would be touch. You can't see, hear, or taste, but you can touch. So in this world of touch, there's well, let's say if we're going to look at scriptures, there's a scripture about the heaven of this world. And the heaven of this world will be falling into a giant hole of rose petals where you have the softest feeling all over you. That to you would be like nirvana or enlightenment. The hand is
That's
the
true.
contact of experience in this world, and the hand finds itself inside a glove. While inside, it takes itself to be the glove. It is now interpreting everything that the hand meets in this world. So everything that this hand touches feels rough because the glove is rough. Whatever it touches, be it soft or hard, it doesn't matter, because the translation is not what you are touching, it is what is touching it. So the glove is defining the interpretation. So in a sense, the conjured self is like that glove. You see? And so whatever it comes in conscious contact with, it's not really that. It's not really what it's coming in contact with. It's an interpretation of it. So it's going to interpret it a particular way. Now the hand is the animating property. It's actually what is initiating the feeling, but it is being translated through the glove. And in that sense, the hand is identified as the glove, so it cannot entertain its pulling itself out. The only way it can entertain getting out of the glove is as a glove. That's the dilemma of spiritual practice. The glove cannot get out of the glove. What needs to occur is to entertain the possibility that you're not the glove. As soon as the hand entertains that possibility that it may not be the glove, what possibility isn't available? What possibility is available? I can pull my hand out of it. Is it going to be incredibly painful? Has a hand turned it into the glove? No. The fact is, the hand comes out of the glove, and then the hand sees from the hand's point of view the glove. But now the glove's looking for the hand. Where the heck is the hand? It's looking everywhere, feeling everything, buying a bunch of crazy ideas, meditating on the idea of the hand for 20 hours, bowing down incessantly to a picture of a hand. It can go to incredible lengths. The point is to see that you are not the glove, because the dilemma is that you may hear about the hand, but you are hearing it from the glove. The glove is interpreting the message. So let's say a hand shows up in the world of gloves, has a meeting, and says, "Hey, you're a hand." You would think that suddenly they would all come out of the gloves, but the problem is the hand that's identified with the glove hears the message. You're a hand as a glove. The glove says, "Where's where? Or I could become like a hand." So now the glove finds itself entering a program to become like a hand, where there's one glove saying it's a hand and that it was gloveless at one time. You may be seeing me as a glove, but I am a hand. And you start paying money to see this glove talk about what it would be like to be a hand, but as a glove. Seeing that you're not the glove is where the information has to be targeted. You do not want to hear about what you are incessantly. Even though the descriptions can be quite beautiful, what is hearing it is the glove. The message may be that there is no one, but a body is hearing that. There is a someone hearing it. That is the confusing part. Now, the seeming someone hears there is no one, and it's quite confusing to the point where this someone tries to be a no one. The problem is that the identification with the glove is so stubborn that you can only think about getting out of the glove as a glove. That's why you never get out. All the plans to escape the glove are plans that the glove hatches up to keep you in the glove. Just see that you're not that. That's simple. Just see you're not that. So we're not just body mind. We're not just action figure. It's thinking, it's doing and knowing thoughts and ideas. We're not that. If we're not that, then what are we? Well, if we're not the body mind action figure, then we're the energy, we're the energetic movement that gives the body mind a life. So it's kind of borrowing an appearance of a life for a time.
You know
For a
where my
while.
Converse are?
Yeah.
What? My Converse?
No.
Mm.
I probably not throw it away.
Huh. This is not a dream. This is dreaming. It's an activity. It never comes to pass. Everything is happening, but nothing ever happened. Everything is dreaming. So if everything's dreaming, it's dreamings. Everything's happening, but nothing ever happened. In other words, nothing ever happens as a final happening. See, nothing ever happens. In other words, where it had a beginning, it happened, and then it has an ending. Okay, well, it already happened then. And here comes along the next happening. No, not necessarily. There's verbing, but no noun. The verbing does not become a noun. You might say, there's dreaming, so there must be a dream. No. There's dreaming. There's feeling, so there must be a feeler. No, there's feeling. There's seeing, so there must be a seer. No, there's seeing. The mental state becomes cognizant of the verbing, and it interprets the verbing to imply a noun. Suddenly, when the noun gets accepted, then it's the noun that's doing the verbing. This is the magical heist, with the main ingredient being time. That which comes after the noun is implied to be before. Conscious contact occurs. The mental state arises, claims to be the one in conscious contact, presents that one as the body, and then the verb is used to infer a noun. Suddenly, instead of just seeing, it is the seer seeing. Suddenly, there's a seer and a seen, the hear and the heard, the feeler and the felt, etc. Now life is happening to me. You don't see it? It's unbelievably clear. It's dreaming. It could never come to pass, but it can seem to be happening to what's happening. That's the whole premise. It's appearing to be true or false to us. It's just an appearance. It's an appearance of being true or untrue. Can we choose the trueness of truth or the falseness of a falsity? It's neither. So then what are we left with? Everything and nothing. That's an amazing thing. Everything could be no thing, and no thing could be everything. Everything is no thinging, as no thing is everythinging. That's amazing to say that. Everything is no thing, and no thing is everythinging. The past has not gone. The present is a fleeting moment, and the future is not yet to come. What is the source of fear other than self-reliance? Faith in a failed system. Self-centeredness is what spawns anxiety. Fear is a valid emotion that arises when we are truly threatened. What most people call fear is really mental anxiety, because the threat is not happening. It's in what's not happening. Mental anxiety mimics the symptoms of fear. We're living in fear, but there's no apparent threat. We're being scarred by ghosts, but the ghosts are of our own mental making. The anxiety is now, yet its cause is a belief in past and future. Most people, if they're bummed out, it's not based on now, it's based on yesterday or tomorrow. You have to see the indications. The diagnosis is right in front of our faces. How can mental anxiety produce effects out of a field of what's not happening? It has to convince us because we're the only producer of effects. We are the reality. We give everything all the meaning it has. We live life as if we're letting everything out there give us the meaning. One person could say, I don't like you, and it ruins your whole day. We're constantly trying to stabilize an image that we think other people have of us. You can hear 100 people say they like you, but one person says they don't, and it's now what you start obsessing over. The one person screws the other 99. It's because you really believe they're right. There is such a corrosive thread, and it's called selfing. It's like Jesus when he said not to build your house on sand. You have to have a sound foundation. Our foundation is not sound because we're relying on a mental state that is a failed system. That's why we're wrecks. What you are is before the game. No thing precedes a you. There's no thing that's looking at what's looking. What's looking is what you and I are looking for. So those kind of sayings, man, those are really heavy, those type of sayings. What's looking is what you're looking for. So what's looking, these eyes of a body mind, they're being used to look on behalf of that body mind. And if they're being used for looking on behalf of the body mind, then that's the body mind that's looking. And if that body mind's looking, what is it looking at? It's looking at whatever appears in life, what apparently appears to appear as one of innumerable appearances. So it could appear as though it's everything and nothing, the emptiness of nothing. And yet there's apparent appearances of everything. It's kind of vice versa, so to speak.
I can hear the ocean tonight.
Uh-huh.
I can hear the ocean tonight.
You can hear it?
Yeah, dude, I said, yeah, you can hear the ocean tonight.
Wow, you're that close.
Yeah,
The
it's
coast.
loud tonight.
That means you might have seagulls nearby, no?
Oh, yeah. They don't really come here though.
Nah, they shouldn't have to.
It's mostly crows or ravens. Ravens like to come here, and other little birds.
Oh yeah, for the forest.
Hawk, few hawks. There's lots of hawks out here too.
Oh yeah, that environment.
Hmm.
It does get a lot quieter though. It really does. The body mind action figure, if it has no other thoughts to entertain, then once it stops entertaining thoughts, then it becomes real quiet and peaceful. And then what apparently appears to take over is a peace that surpasses all understanding. If it surpasses all understanding, that means anything that could be understood, it is beyond that. It surpasses that. So if it surpasses that, that means that that's the final resting place, so to speak. A place we could always return to, regardless of what is appearing to happen to the body mind in life. And regardless of what time of the day or night it is. Because time is irrelevant. Time doesn't matter. Because what we are is timeless. We're boundless and we're timeless. And to try to speak of that, of what we are, is unknowable. Since it's unknowable, we don't speak of it. So what is there left to speak of? See?
Yeah.
So, if whatever is left to speak of is whatever is being conjured by the body mind, that's what's going to be entertained. So, if we're going to entertain whatever the body mind is thinking, these thoughts that it's entertaining are all that we're going to speak of. We're just going to be talking about the same thing more or less over and over again. Because after a while, the body mind will run out of things to say. It will run out of things to talk about. And when it runs out of that, what does it talk about then? Nothing. When it runs out of things to say, doesn't know what else to say, then it goes back and regurgitates the old ideas and thoughts. Then it goes back into the past and tries to dredge up a thought or an idea that it used to entertain, it used to have. Maybe I used to thought about a certain event that may have happened to it. Maybe it was a traumatic event that happened to it. It's going to repeat recalling that because it left such a strong imprint on its mind. Yeah. Can't really help itself.
ocean's so loud.
Is it?
Yes.
Huh.
Wonder if it's just because of the way I'm laying and not, kind of cool.
Yeah.
I posted my mom's. I put up there that I was gonna have a remembrance for her, and I think this is funny anyway. It's it is what it is. Anyways, I posted that up there, and it's just about the timing of it. That's what's funny about it. And I posted her remembrance will be, on the 20th, the equinox.
Yeah.
And I got a message from my mother, a friend's request, excuse me.
Yeah.
From, my mom. You remember you met her.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, I should just read you whatever. I might have deleted the friend's request because wait, let's see. Oh no, right here. That's well, Mom, I thought you passed on June 4th. Well, I'm glad to see you're making around town still, or yeah, around town. Well, if you get the time, Mother, don't forget to stop by and see me, as I still have your ashes. I plan on setting you on your way soon. I hope the afterlife is treating you well. Because I got a friend request from her, right?
Oh wow.
And then
Yeah.
I get a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And then
That's cool.
good to hear. Good, good to hear from you. I said, so is heaven everything you thought it would be? Ha ha ha.
Huh.
And then the guy responds, we've been very lucky, thankfully. Family is well, thank goodness. Very happy for my life. And I was just wondering if you have heard about the ongoing GGF program yet. I said, really? You're gonna keep going with that you're gonna go with that bar? I don't know why I said that. I just told her, I'm probably supposed to say, anyways, this is what I wrote. I'm just reading what I wrote. I just told her you're pretending to be my mom and you're still going to keep going. Said you're good. My I said whatever. It says no, I haven't. What the hell did I write? Anyways, this guy responds with his blurb or whatever, and then I think he finally read what I wrote, and he sent a bunch of like faces, like, "Oh, that was dumb," like oh shit, kind of those weird emojis, like
Yeah.
embarrassed look.
Yeah.
Ah shit, I just think it's silly. And I was like, I don't even have that picture of my mother. How'd they get that? What's that picture from? That's what I was thinking.
Grandpa,
What?
since I'm calling Haley right now, can I use my phone at 10?
Well, yeah, you can give it back at 10.
Okay, thank you.
Huh.
Oh yeah, he's on restriction from his phone and his PlayStation. They took it away.
Why? What happened?
Oh, I don't remember. Oh, what was it? Oh, just trying to get out of school, tired of it, you know, making excuses not to go. Just too much bull, you know. So I told him, if you don't value school, then you don't really need a phone, you don't really need a PlayStation. So then you could just read a book or do something else.
Yeah.
I don't have to provide a phone. I was mad because he's cutting classes, giving teachers heck, hanging around kids he shouldn't be. Stuff that in the you're supposed to be worried about. You don't want your kids having a crappy life. I mean, and then the same way you say, like, well, things are going to be the way they are. So what control do you really have? So I don't know. So then am I just, if you want to think of it like that, is it just like what? Everything's just going as it's supposed to go anyway, then? Whatever happens, happens. If it happened, it happened. Right?
Yeah. That's
It's-
right.
Yeah.